Okay, the Rebbe's Maamar Basi Legani Tovshem Mem. In the copies is page Shin Samach Dalid. We started Eis Ches. We're in the middle of Eis Ches. The Rebbe is explaining, the last thing the Rebbe was explaining, that the accomplishment of a Jew is to reveal even the level of Tzivus Havaya, even into the level of Biyah. Normally, the names of Hashem are in the world of Atzilus. Tzava brings down, and he brings down, Samach Tzedek says, that this is not found in Eitz Chaim, from the Arizal, so therefore it's the Chiddush of the Alter Rebbe, that the accomplishment of the Eden being called Tzivus Hashem is that they bring down the level of Elokus even to the world of Bria, that even there is either Chayor Echad, either Gamer Echad, that Elokus and everything's the same. So he starts explaining what the Baal Shem Tov said, and this is what we're in the middle of Ches, that whatever a person owns is because that's their nitzutzim that they have to elevate, and that's their avodah, and that shows that Tashkocha Pratis and so on. Okay, so now we're on page Shin Samach Dalid, 6 lines to the top of the page. So he says, Vayidei Shemavadinus Anitzutz, Umezach and Umayla Meisim L'Shosham, and by refining the sparks and elevating them, you accomplish an elevation not only in the thing itself, but even in the source becomes greater. This we're up to. So it was in Golos Mitzrayim. Shaydei v'natz los Mitzrayim. The pasuk says v'yinatz los Mitzrayim. What does it mean? There's two interpretations. Sha'asa k'mitzula. They made it like the bottom of the ocean. Shein bo and dogim. There's no fish there. In other words, the pasuk basically says the Jews emptied out Mitzrayim. So it says, one interpretation, it says they made it like the bottom of the ocean that has no fish, or k'mitzula shein begun, like a silo that there's no grain in it. Basically, the pasuk said they emptied out all the sparks of Kedusha that existed in Mitzrayim. Shabira, like we said, Erev Rav, the 202 sparks of Kedusha. Shabira, it's interesting. Why? The Rebbe is explaining, why do they give two analogies? The bottom of the ocean that has no fish, and a silo that has no grain. He says one is Alma Discasia and one is Alma Disgalia. Well, he says, one is the sparks of Alma Discasia, like Suda Shein Badogim. And the Tzut is a Shayachim Alma Disgalia, like Suda Shein Badogim. Like the silo that there's no grain in it. Aideis and Nasi Ilu Gambi Yisrael. Not only did the sparks of Kedusha became greater, the Yidden became greater. Meaning when a Yid does Avedis Abirudim, which causes the Shechina to be down here, elevates not only the physical objects that were elevating, it actually elevates the Yidden themselves. Merashi explains at great length. In the Inyan of Ayi B'Shalach Paris Sa'om, it says in this they show you Mishalech Pa'odis Hanofim. Ve'esapri L'mayla Sa'om, meaning B'Shalach Paris means basically Paris sent them out, and through this it created like seeds up in heaven, which means like this, that the Yidden elevated the sparks of Kedusha down here. That's why they had to run away from Egypt. It says in Chassidus, by this week's parsha, it says, "Vayugad lemelech Mitzrayim ki baracham." Paro was told that the nation ran away from Egypt. And lost of lava, it says, "Leiba menusim telechu." You're not going to have to run out of Golos. You're going to go slow. So it says what happened over there. Because it was before Matan Torah, the Jews were still connected to Mitzrayim. In fact, they wanted to go back. They didn't completely finish. So because they were overly indulged in evil, the pasuk said they had to run away from evil. It's like a person addicted to something has to not walk away from something. They have to run away from it because they're still connected to it. Laws of love, because all the sparks of Kedusha are going to be elevated, so then it's not going to be needed. And he says, through the sparks that we find in Mitzrayim, the Yidden became greater and a greater level, like it said by Golus Mitzrayim, you should plant it for me in the ground. What does it mean? Klum Inyans, what's the Inyan of planting? Kamar Merazal, like the Gemara says, Klum Odom Zereh Kur. You think a guy plants a pound to make a pound? You don't plant. It's like the same thing it says, you don't invest $1 to make $1. If you invest in business, which basically means losing money, you want to make money, you want to lose money. So it's actually losing money. But the Gemara says, you buy it for $1, and not $1, whatever. You buy it for $1, you sell it for $1, you call it a businessman? Not at all. Okay? So what's the union? You don't plant a cord to make a cord. What is it? Meaning, what did the Eden plant in Mitzrayim? They planted in Mitzrayim the Birudim to become greater. In other words, Yerida Tzerech Aliyah. What do? You take a seed, you bury it in the ground, which is a Yerida, a descent, and then it pops out massive, much more than you planted. These that the Yidden were planted in Golus Mitzrayim, is therefore why is it? For the sake of it is for the addition by refining the sparks of kedusha. Like the Ramash explains what happens when you refine the sparks. So the Rebbe is, so to speak, wrapping up the Maimon now. Why are the Yidden, when they left Egypt for the first time, called Tzivos Hashem? Tzivos Hashem, the army of Hashem. Tzivos Hashem. So he said Tzivos. Tzvokes is a level of Elokus coming into the Aveda of B'riyah Yitzir Nasiya, which is Aveda Sabirurim. So because the Yidden refined all the sparks in Mitzrayim, 202 out of 288, like we learned, they refined all the sparks in Mitzrayim, so therefore they're called Tzivos Havaya. But through this, that they refined the sparks in Mitzrayim, they became elevated to a level they're able to receive the Torah. And that's what it says in Tes. Right there, therefore the pasuk says, and then it says, and before the Rebbe asked in the Maamar, it's a different expression. One place it says they're called Tzivos Havaya, Tzivos of, with a chidek, so Tzivos of Havaya, and then it says Al Tzivosam. What does it mean? Tzivos, I'm sorry. Tzivos with a chidek is Loshen Somoch. Hey Matzvo is Sheniz Beru Begolus Mitzrayim V'Nisalu L'Chol B'Shem Havaya. Why were they called Tzivos Havaya? Tzivos of Havaya, meaning they refined the sparks and elevated them to the level of Havaya. Or like we learned many times, the world was created Elokim, B'Reish Bar Elokim, Vayom Elokim, Vayom Elokim, Vayom Elokim, and the Avayda V'Yidin is to elevate the Elokim, the Teva, the concealment of Elokus, meaning the sparks of Elokus which are hidden in the physical world, to elevate them to Kedusha. Therefore the Yidden are called Tzivos Havaya. V'Shem Tfeilim Usmochim Usmochim V'Nechlolim B'Shem Havaya. And therefore, because they're bottled and next to Havaya, meaning they elevate the level of Mitzrayim to the level of Yudke Vavke. And because of the sparks that the Eden elevated in Mitzrayim, therefore they're called Tzivos Havaya. And even more than that, the second pasuk says, "Hey, Tzivayis b'nei Yisrael, out Tzivayisam," meaning Tzivayis Yisrael, Heim l'maylim b'chinas anitzutza shenis baru. What happened to the Bnei Yisrael? They become out Tzivayisam, higher than the sparks that they elevated. The Rebbe just explained, by the Yidden elevating the sparks, the Eden become greater. Right? What does that mean? That's why first they're called Tzivos Havaya, the Tzivos of Havaya, meaning they elevated the sparks to the level of Yud Kevavke. Then it elevated the Eden to the level of Al Tzivosam. The Eden are even higher than the sparks that they elevated. Because the Eden are the ones that refine the sparks, therefore they're Lamailam, therefore they're greater than them. Because they're elevating them. This is the connection between the concept of Tzivos Havaya or Al Tzivosam to the name of Tzvokis, which happened eshed by the days of Chana, like we learned before. Who was the first one to call Hashem Tzvokis? Was Chana. They are avoided the Birani Tzusim by refining the sparks. Vizkalus and Mavayan elevating to the level of Yud Kevav, coming to the supernatural Tzivos Havaya. Shaydei Avedazu Nasim Yisrael Al Tzivosam. L'mayla Milchinas Anitutzas Eden become even greater than the sparks. So what happens? Aidei Zeh Mamshich and Rebbe Ermi Makim Elyon B'Yesed. You bring down if the Eden become elevated. So then what happens? They reach a higher level of Malchus. And that's the level they bring down when they build the Mishkan. That's the concept of bringing a Malchus down. How do you bring a Malchus down? By refining the sparks. By refining the sparks, you become greater than the sparks. And then you bring down that level of Kedusha, the Maila from the way of Teira, that it is the way it is Begilui. And that breaks all the barriers that exist between Atzilus and Bria, and therefore you bring down, like he said before, that even in Bria is that the Sfiras and the Ord and the Gate is one with the Lukus.
A little bit confusing. I'm sorry.
1 second.
It says that Hashem Tzvakot is at the time of Nevi.
No. The name Tzvokos happened in the level at the time of Nevi'im. Right. That the Eden are never called. Hashem wasn't called Tzvokos.
No, Tzvakot.
Right.
At the time. But now it says that the Beruri is in Egypt. So from the very lowest level to the highest level.
But before Matan Torah, it didn't have that ability of Tzvokos.
They did or they didn't?
They didn't.
So how did they do the Avodah?
Because that was the preparation for Matan Torah. That was the achana to Matan Torah. It had to be that level. Because the whole chiddush of Matan Torah is Gashmis and Ruchnis become one. Until Matan Torah, Ruchnis and Ruchnis. What happened in Matan Torah? The barrier broke between Atzilus and Biyah, like he's saying over here. So how was the preparation for that? They had to the preparation for that was by refining the sparks. Now, when did the sparks actually become refined? When they built the Mishkan with it. What did they do with the things they took out of Egypt? And they built the Mishkan. So they took out the sparks, but what was the elevation of the sparks? That was by the Vasilim of Shchanti B'Seichem. In every Yid, there's the Mishkan. So it's again a system. A system. They had to go into Mitzrayim to become refined. Then that allowed Kriyas Yamsuf. Kriyas Yamsuf was a preparation for Matan Torah. Then, like we said, the Egel, 5,000.
So the avodah of Tzvakot is not only during the Nevi'im and Ketuvim.
Right, but they didn't call Hashem Tzvakos yet.
But the avodah is the same avodah.
Yeah. And he says, Ad Shegam B'Biyah, the bottom line of Shir Samach Dalet, Nas Ir V'Gamer Echad, that even in Biyah, the level of Ir V'Chayer Echad is one the way it is in Atzilus. So he says, the Shem Tzvakos Bo B'Emek Yosef. The Rebbe says to now to explain it even deeper. Shem Tzvakos, he said before, is the attribute of Netzach and Hod. That's what they brought down before. In the Friedrich Rebbe, in the continuation of Basi Legani in the later chapters, Shemid is HaNetzach, Notua Mushesh Betzem HaNefesh. The attribute of victory is rooted in the essence of the neshama. And he says, "B'shvil nitzachon ha'mechama." Therefore, in order to win, nizgala me'etzem ha'nefesh. The Frierdiker Rebbe explains in the Hemshech of Basi Legani in the later Prakim. He says like this: a king has treasures. The treasure is nobody ever sees b'chal. It's hidden. Yet when it comes to win a battle, the expression Chazal mevazveis kol ha'issus, he like throws them out cheaply to win a war. Why is that? These are jewels that the king never even shows, let alone just throw out, because the attribute, and you see this in politicians, when they run for office, it touches their core. Mamish, the core of their essence, the essence. He says, therefore, the Frierdiker Rebbe explains, in the attribute of winning the war, it actually comes from the etzem of the person. And therefore, it says like this: therefore, in our Menachem with the Yetzer Hara, you need the level of nitzachon. Now, when you have that, because you have to win it, you want to win over the Yetzer Hara, nefesh habamis. So that touches in the essence. So that reveals in the Jew. It reveals in the Jew the level of their essence. You know, they say also, God forbid if somebody, God forbid somebody's under a car, people will someday be able to pick up the car. They will never be able to do it under normal circumstances. Or like the Frierdiker Rebbe says, in Maamarim, a guy is running away from fire, he'll be able to squeeze through a hole that he will never be able to squeeze through otherwise. It comes a time when it touches the core of the person, the real touches the core. That's when it reveals powers that we don't even know we have. And that's what the nitzachon of the Menachem.
In Rome, they had a war, and the king there and the pope, they melted the most beautiful sculptures.
That's exactly what it says here. In the Maamarim of the Rebbe Rashab, to the extent of tzidkas pirzaina b'Yisrael, okay, tzidkas pirzaina b'Yisrael, you know, that's like presentation. What? Yeah. Tzidkas pirzaina b'Yisrael. The Gemara says, and this pasuk, it was one of the Maamarim, the Frierdiker Rebbe said at the Rebbe's Chasana, that's the Amar Rabbi Shetzrakas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael shepizrim bein ha'umas. It says over there, Hashem did a favor to the Yidden, even though it says pir zaynei, prozis means open. Prozis states in Yerushalayim means when Mashiach comes, Yerushalayim is not even going to have a wall. Therefore it says the Kedusha Yerushalayim is going to spread out all over the place. A wall is limitations. It limits what you do. So even though it says pir zaynei, but the Gemara says, Amar Basi, don't read a pir zaynei, read a pizraynei. And the Gemara says Hashem did a favor to the Jews by spreading them out amongst all the nations of the world. Why? The simple meaning of the Gemara is, during the Inquisition, the Jews were thrown out of Spain. They were able to go to different countries where Jews lived. God forbid if all the more Jews would have been in Germany, God forbid more Jews would have been killed. So simply means Hashem did a favor to the Jews by spreading them out. Number one, there's no concentration of, God forbid, to be able to kill them. And secondly, Jews have where to run to their brothers and sisters in different countries. Chassidus explains, why did Hashem spread the Jews out, spiritually speaking? Why did Hashem spread the Jews out all over the world? Because there are sparks of Kedusha all over the world. Now, if all the Jews are in Israel, how are they going to elevate the sparks in America and Europe and South Africa and South America and Asia? How are they going to? They're not. They're still living in Israel. They're not going to be able to elevate the sparks. So it says that's the whole purpose of Golus, by the way. This Golus, by the way, the Eden are all over the world. There's Chabad and Coca-Cola all over the world. Wherever you find Coke, you will find Chabad. There's Jews all over the world. What do you mean? Tell me a country doesn't have Jews.
There's Central Africa.
You talk about even that, by the way. Congo has Jews. There's Chabad in all these places.
The Jews are after this, the diamonds in Africa.
Yeah. There are Jews even in Iran. Can you imagine? Even in Iran there used to be Jews. That's a chiddush. No, so it says.
That is a chiddush because it's so difficult.
Anyway, so bottom line is that Hashem did a favor for the Jews. What's the favor to the Jews? By elevating sparks all over the world, like we're learning here, they become elevated. They become greater. So he says, Pirzayin Yilashim Prozis. Aderach Mashu calls it Prozis, Teshuv Yerushalayim, B'li Chayma. That Yerushalayim will be without a wall, meaning Lamaylam, Medida Vagabola. Val Pizay Yuvan, Mashayidei, Avoided it Civis Savaya. By a Jew elevating the sparks, that's why they bring down the name Tzvokes. Why? It's known what the Magid said, and the Minim Lochman Schneerson Shel Tzadikim. It says in the Medrash, simply it means, with whom did God decide to create the world? With the Neshamas of Tzadikim. So again, simply it means, God called a board meeting, and he decided, okay, we're going to build the world because... So Chassidus explains, obviously that's ridiculous. Means what purpose did Hashem create the world? What would made Hashem decide to create the world? The fact that the neshamas of Yidden are going to elevate the Yisrael gam kedim shenivru. Called kedim kol seder ishtal shoedis nimlach. Even before the worlds. Hayanech kaksurasim beyizbarich. The Jew, like we learned before, that was engraved in the child that's engraved in the mind of the father. This Aidei Avedasim B'nai Yisrael, and therefore through the Aveda B'nai Yisrael, Nimshuchum is Gala in Yizeh, that this engravement that the Jews are engraved in Hashem now becomes openly in worlds. The Yidden reveal that level of Elokus to the world. Therefore, through the level of Tzivus Havaya, meaning elevating the sparks, Nimshuch Shem Tzvokis. Ki Shem Zeh was in the level of Netzach V'Heit. Like the Amur, like here the Rebbe is bringing down his father. Like my father explains, She'ez is the Shem Tzvokis. The letters of Tzvokis, and in their order, Sadik, Beis Yudin, the Aleph, Meidem on Netzach V'Heit, whatever. According to Kabbalah, this shows on the level of Netzach V'Heit the name Tzvokis. Like it says in Parit Kama Isa, the Shem Tzvokis is not only in Netzach V'Heit but even Yesod of a Mashin Ager Kan, that the Inyan of Tzvokis Kamesha Ben Netzach V'Heit, meaning Mikiv and Shudetzurosim Shal Yisrael Chakuka B'Yizbarech. The image of the Jews are engraved in Hashem. L'chein Ayidei Aved the Tzivus Havaya. Through being the Hashem, and the Rebbe in the Friedrich Rebbe Maamar says one more point. Who gets this treasure that the king's throwing out? The foot soldiers. They're the ones that are given all the supplies they need. They're the one the money is being spent for. Not like in some countries today, all the money is spent for the people, the pockets. Talking about in the normal war, the soldiers are given. Aveda the Netzach. Nas in Shem Tzvokis, which is Netzach Haid Hainu. Shaidei Aveda Nisochna Mulchama, by being victorious in the war, which by the way refers to the war Nefesh Elokis against Nefesh Bamis, the war of Yiddishkeit versus Goyishkeit, holiness versus evil. Nimshach v'nizgal me'at until comes from the essence of Hashem. Vaidei Hamshacha, like you said before, through this Hamshacha of refining the sparks. So then not only in Atzilus is Hashem in the R1, but even in Bria, Gabba Biyad comes even into Biyad, that even in the world, Hashem and Elokus, that's the concept. Havaya Echad, Ushmay Echad. Bayoymahu Yihiyah, not only Havaya Echad, even Shmay Echad, even the world of Bria.
So Tzvokis is Netzach,
sometimes he says Yisod, yeah, that's what he says. And this revelation of Nitzachim gives the power to do the Aveda Sabirim in time of Golus. Umitnem in calling Yom to take with us all the things. Klei Chesed v'Klei Zol v'Smolis. Silver, gold, and clothing. Which, by the way, Chesed, Gvur, and Tiferes. Just for the record. Begulo HaSida. Asher Be'adrama. What? Shal Kamei Shahai Sagula di Yitzias Mitzrayim. Like it was that goal of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Like it says, Kimeitzeis Chameret Mitzrayim, Arenu Neflois, meaning Shaidei Maseinu Vavidoseinu B'Meshech Zman HaGolus, through our Aveda during the duration of Golus. Ubefrat me, Chris and the Mashiach's Pashul Mashiach comes, then Uvrei Yisrael Yitzim B'Yod Rama. The Yidden will go out with this outstretched arm. The Kabul Pnei Mashiach Tzikenu B'God B'Meinu Mamish. B'Yameinu Mamish. Okay.